Hello, everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm your host, Kevin Dennison. Along with me is Atomic Tommy, as always. How you doing, Atomic Tommy?
Excited to be here.
We are pumped and ready for more action. We are broadcasting to you live from our studio here at Most Wanted Comics in beautiful Bloomington, Minnesota. Tell you what, it is a Monday.
It is a Monday.
Monday night. You know what? But we had a great week.
Yeah, it was a busy week.
We want to thank everybody for showing up for customer appreciation and celebrating the fact that we have over 100 YouTube subscribers. I know in the grand scheme of things, University YouTube, it's a big deal. It's only 100 subscribers. To us, it's everything.
It is a big deal.
You know what? We don't care for broadcasting to one person or a million people. We are happy to have you with us and following us each week and letting you know what's going on at our store, Most Wanted Comics, because no matter what your fandom, you are welcome at Most Wanted Comics here in beautiful Bloomington, Minnesota.
That's right.
That's right. So let me tell you what we did. We had a party. In honor of that party with our celebration, we did banger of deals. We had long boxes, 100 long boxes.
That was a lot to move.
It was. We are very sore today.
Yes, we are.
We moved a lot of long boxes, but you know what? Atomic Tommy is getting ripped and buff because he lifted so many long boxes.
Yep.
The ladies are gonna go nuts.
Yeah, yes they are. Yeah,
flex those muscles. And I tell you what, 100 long boxes we had. We had $1 books, $2 books, and we had one guy tell us that our $2 books were too expensive.
Yeah.
That was the first. Yeah. I've never heard of a $2 bag and border comic being too expensive. But
that is a true story, by the way. That did happen.
It did happen.
We had $2 comics, and people complained that they were too expensive. So,
only in Minnesota, Yeah.
I just... Yeah. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me personally.
If they're not bag and boarded, they're $1. If they're bag and boarded, they're $2. And granted, we did no. In fairness, we had some price books out there.
Well, right, but of course we had
generally everything $2 for bag and boarded comics and unbag and boarded comics $1. and you know what? It never fails when you do something. And Friday we gave away free pizza for people who showed up, and on Saturday we had this gorgeous cake, and it was free cake for all while slices last. And you know what? We went through most of that cake.
We did go through most of that cake.
There were a lot of people that liked the cake.
It was a big cake.
Comment if you liked the cake. If you were at the celebration, you liked that cake. It was a really good chocolate cake.
It was really good chocolate cake. Cub Foods does it best, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah, Cub Foods in a pinch, man. They came through solid. I never, with their bakery is great because they're just awesome ladies in there, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They are veterans. Yeah. They are veterans, probably.
It's the local bakeries, man. I'll tell you, they are the greatest. These ladies ever at Cub Foods, man, are the nicest, and they're the best at what they do.
Yeah, they remind me of the lunch ladies from school that knew what they could make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And make it happen. But I tell you what, anyway, it was a fantastic event. We had a great turnout. We did a lot of sales. And we celebrated the fact that we have the best customers, and we thanked everybody for subscribing and following us at Most Wanted Comics. So with that being said, we are kicking off this week now, as always. We're always got stuff going on at Most Wanted Comics.
You guys haven't heard the half of it.
Tuesday night, all right? Now get this down. Tuesday night is Tuesday night main event, and we kind of switched the store around a little bit. Now, we've had a lot of requests for our cards, Marvel cards, gaming cards, sports cards, which we have a ton of. Tuesday night, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Every Tuesday through the fall, we're going to be running what's called Tuesday night main events. That's going to be featuring sports cards, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, soccer, NASCAR, wrestling, your fandom. We have it at Most Wanted Comics. Also, we have Marvel cards, Pokemon cards, One Piece cards, Magic cards. We have packs and singles, and we have bulk boxes of Pokemon to go through too. I tell you what, 15 cents a piece.
Yep.
Boy.
Can't go wrong.
So what we do is we cover the long boxes in the middle aisle of our store. If you're familiar with our store, we have a center island of nothing but long boxes. So we cover that up and then put out all the display cases with cards and stuff. And we also sell packs of cards too. So we have packs of cards. We have single cards, sports, gaming cards, 5:30 to 8. Come try out Tuesday night main events. That's where we feature everything about cards and fandom and cards.
Yep.
And you can still buy comic books too. Don't get me wrong. We'll still have comics out there. but we will be featuring that 3 hours for cards. So anyway, make sure you stop by on Tuesday nights. We start this Tuesday, 5:30 to 8. And with that, we also have Saturday, another big event at the store. Legendary artist and anchor Keith Williams will be here.
Yep. We've been pumping that up. We've talked about him for a few weeks now on the podcast. I hope you all have him on your calendars because he's going to be here on Saturday.
I hope so. This guy has been around for a while. He's done so much work, and I'm gonna have him sign some Quasar books.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have him sign some Web of Spider-Man books. I'm gonna have him sign a Transformer book. I'm gonna try. See, I'm definitely gonna have him do a sketch.
Yeah, you gotta get the sketch. I mean, you
gotta have him do a sketch cover. So I'm gonna try to figure out what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do Spider-Man because he did so much Web of Spider-Man. I'm definitely gonna have him sign some books. But boy, I tell you what. Anyway, Saturday, August 24th, 10:30 to 4. Make sure that you're here and get some stuff signed and talk to this gentleman. He knows what he's doing. He's been around the industry for so long. I can't wait to hear some of the stories.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I know you're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the people he worked with.
We both, shifted through our collections to pick stuff out to have signed. So, you got to do that too because you'll probably find something. No matter what area you collect in, you'll probably find something.
Yeah, he did both Marvel and DC, so you're gonna run into him somewhere. But make sure that you put that in your calendar, August 24th. If you haven't been to Most Wanted Comics, it's worth the trip, especially to meet some of the cool people we bring in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, on top of that, we have another plan you have to plan for.
Yep, you got to plan.
September
14th. September 14th, Tito Santana, legendary wrestler.
Yes. If you're a fan of the AWA and WWF early years, Tito Santana.
Arriba. Another great wrestler. Another great wrestler gracing Most Wanted with his presence.
Yep.
We love wrestling. We love providing the wrestling experience for our customers, and Tito Santana will surely do that. So come on out September 14th, 10:30 to 2:30, and meet Tito Santana.
Yep, and we'll save October, and we have a few other surprises up our sleeves, but we won't announce that yet. We have some bangers coming. Let me tell you what. Make sure you have your calendars open for the fall because we have stuff going on almost every weekend now.
We're
going back to school. We're going back to comics, all right? We're going back. We have so much going on. So Tuesday nights, every Tuesday, we've got main event. Saturday, the 24th, we got a signer. And then September, we have Tito Santana. And, there might be another one booked in there somewhere. We're still working on one. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. But anyway, with that being said, October, we start the food drive for Veep.
Yep.
So everything's just around the corner. But anyway, that's enough housekeeping for the day.
Yep.
Let's talk about some comic books.
Let's talk about some comics. It is my absolute favorite thing to do. It was a big week this week for me. I mean, there was a lot to read. I mean, not only did we have 2 back-to-back X-Men books, but we had a new Transformers, which is still the best ongoing, I think, currently. We had Green Lantern. We had Geiger. We had a new Amazing Spider-Man. There was just a lot this week. But let's get at this point, the mandatory weekly X-Men out of the way. Because I kind of want to cover them as they come out.
We were all excited for this one. We thought this was going to be a big one.
X Factor #1. Now, X Factor, I'm not really a big fan of to begin with. I don't think. I mean, X Factor kind of always flew under the radar compared to something like X Force, right? And mostly X Force because they had a character like Deadpool, right? But X Factor, I think, was never really my favorite thing. But I was intrigued with this #1, and because of the characters. I mean, you had Havoc, you had Angel, right? Those are sort of the 2 A-listers that, and we're not gonna spoil the story, but there is something to the team. It is very much like a military sort of corporate X-Men team, which is really cool. It keeps to that. It keeps traditional, and it tells a pretty fun story. One of the good things about this new X-Men reboot, one of the things that they're doing really well is having each individual release feel different. I mean, I've read them all, Phoenix, NYX, X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, Uncanny, and I can tell you that not like none of them feel the same. They all feel different in some way. They all have a different theme, a different tone, a different message on mutants and how they want to portray, you know, how they want to be portrayed in the public eye, right? Like how Cyclops and his X-Men team, they have a different view on how they think mutants should operate than like Rogue and Gambit and Wolverine and Uncanny X-Men. So it's just every story is different. Every story is doing something different with the X-Men, with the, you know, the core characters and the core idea. And I think that's really cool, and I think they're doing a really good job.
Do you think it'll come to a head in the future? Where they'll all kind of combine.
It's Marvel. There's no way that it's. I mean, there's going to be some big crossover. There's going to be some big X-Men
Civil War event.
Probably next year. There's going to be some big X-Men event. I mean,
you can already feel the buildup with every group, you know, kind of touting who they are individually and how they want to see things run.
Yeah.
So they're kind of leading up to all those differences of opinions. Going to at least someone's going to have to be the lead. And
yeah, and again, you know, it's Marvel. It's like resisting the urge to, you know, scratch, you know, an itch, right? They're gonna do it some way, somehow, sometime.
Without
it's
spoiling
just a matter
it, though,
of when.
Without spoiling it, what do you think of the take on Havoc this time? What they're doing with Havoc?
You know, Havoc's a cool character. You know, he's always been sort of, I think, on the sideline, overlooked in comparison to
underrated.
Scott Summers. You know, because he is the brother of Cyclops, and most people like Cyclops over Havoc. Right?
I think Havoc gets the shaft. I think in this time they're doing a better job with Havoc.
Havoc is cool. I kind of like the idea that, like, you know, he doesn't really want to be an X-Men right now. He doesn't really, you know, he's been involved. He's definitely sort of an A-lister, but he wants to move on. But he keeps getting dragged back in, which I think is really cool. And how they end it, you know, again, I don't want to spoil anything. It's kind of hard to talk about these books without spoiling anything. Like, you guys got to understand that it is hard to talk about this stuff without spoiling anything. But we do want to give you guys the opportunity to read it.
I just enjoyed the read so much.
Yeah, it was fun, and it sort of ends with it ends fun. It starts fun and it ends fun, and that, I think, is what makes a good book.
And I think it's cool when they kind of take the overlooked characters. Like, I'm a Havoc fan.
Yeah.
So
Alex Summers.
In the deep reading that I did with this X-Men, I was really happy that they involved him.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's kind of on the outside looking in, but he's still in. Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and I think this is a good opportunity. Again, each one of these X-Men books has sort of taken the opportunity to introduce new characters, and I think in some cases they've worked better than others. I think this is an opportunity, and it's a really good opportunity to utilize lesser known and introduce new characters, because this is where you can have it. I mean, this is, you know, the government is recruiting mutants. This is a perfect opportunity to expand the team beyond unknowns, or beyond, known characters, and I think they're doing a good job of that so far. I mean, it looks like every incarnation of the team, you know, so far in this book, you know, is going to include some sort of lesser known characters or new characters. I just hope that they each get to introduce themselves in some way.
Well, and that was the problem with, there were so many mutants. That's the biggest complaint.
Yeah.
X-Men, I know there's so many different, you got the universe, you got all these X-Men, you got all these mutants, it got so convoluted, you didn't know what's going on. So, I mean, I just hope it doesn't go down that road again. I like to see a build-up. It looks like they're all kind of coming into their own here, and they're all kind of feeling out how mutants should be handled. And I like some of the character development with some of the underrated characters. We just talked about that. It's worth the read, people. If you haven't read it, pick it up.
You know, honestly, at this point, I think it's going to come to a point where there's just too many X-Men titles. So you gotta look at them and sort of pick your favorites. And I don't know if X Factor is gonna be that one for me. I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I still thought it was pretty good so far. Outside of NYX, which I was just kind of bleh about. I really haven't had any massive issues with any of the X-Men titles so far, including, I mean, I didn't really have any big issues with NYX. I just didn't really like it that much. So any of them are good. Any of them are fine to pick up and read. It's, again, only issue number 1 in the case of X-Men, number 2. So it's not like it's hard to catch up.
No.
And just try it out. You know, X-Men is super popular, and it's only going to get more popular as the X-Men keep going in the movies and the shows and stuff.
Well, the nice thing is, too, there's continuity with all the comics that they're releasing, but you don't have to read all the comics to keep up with what's going on.
Right. And this is a thing that Marvel, some of Marvel's titles do better than others. Like, I am getting a sense of, there is a sense of continuity with the X-Men now, right? Like, the characters reference, like Uncanny X-Men, right? They were talking about Cyclops in Alaska and all that kind of stuff. So there is a sense of sort of the characters in the universe, in the lore, know what's going on. They know where everybody is. There is sort of a sense of a shared timeline, which, while they all take place on the same timeline, doesn't really feel that way.
But they all acknowledge each other's existence.
They acknowledge each other. They acknowledge what's going on in other books, which I think is super important. Because this is something that Spider-Man doesn't do very well, right? Like, you'll have multiple Spider-Man titles come out in a single week, and Spider-Man will be in them all, but there will just be no sense of reference or acknowledgement of any of the other Spider-Mans that's going. Like, if Spider-Man is showing, like Amazing Spider-Man, right? If Amazing Spider-Man is showing up in, like, Spider-Boy or a Spider-Verse or a Spider-Woman comic, and it's releasing at the same time as Amazing Spider-Man, you will get no sense that these books happen in the same universe at all. And it gets really hard to read Spider-Man when there's just no sense of acknowledgement, for the most part. I mean, you might get a line thrown here and there. You might get one of the little reference things. But for the most part, it's like, what's even what's even going on, And that's something that I hope that they don't do with X-Men. It's something that they haven't done with X-Men so far. And, I just hope they keep going. Which, to keep on that point, DC is actually super good about that. Like, I gotta give DC credit where that's due. They don't really have that problem. DC, let's look at Nightwing. Everything that's going on in Nightwing is in some way reflected or like referenced by the Titans or with the Titan. Now, this is part of the, this is part of what happens when you have the same writer on Titans and Nightwing. I get that. And there is, they don't take place exactly at the same time, I don't think, but the Titans show up in Nightwing, right? Like, these books are intertwined, because Nightwing is heavily involved in the Titans, and then Nightwing has his own ongoing. So it's like these characters are intertwined. They don't take place exactly at the same time, I don't think, but like, it is an intertwined story, and you do feel that while reading it, which is, again, not something that you get the sense of at Marvel all the time. So you got to give DC props for that.
They've always said that, though.
Yeah, they've always said that, and I feel like they've always done a pretty good job with that. And I think part of the reason why Marvel struggles with it is because they just have so many different people working on different projects. Like, again, back to Nightwing. I mean, Tom Taylor is writing Titans and Nightwing, so you can easily have continuity and, I guess, sort of a shared existence with those two titles. But when you have like 3 or 4 different people writing Spider-Man comics, it can get pretty difficult. And I understand that. Or the same with the X-Men, right? So Marvel just has so many different people working on their projects that I think it can get hard.
Well, plus Marvel's such a big universe.
Yeah, well, DC is too. I mean, and it's, one can do it and one struggles with it, and I think there's a reason for that. But anyway, let's move on to what's coming out this week. We got a lot.
It's a light week, isn't it?
It's your favorite Ghost Machine title comes out this week, though. Redcoat #5.
I like Redcoat. If you ever read Redcoat, get on it. Redcoat's a good book.
Redcoat is a good book. We also have Black Panther versus the Predator #1. That's fun. I really like. One of the things that I do really like Marvel's doing is they're bringing back a lot of sort of the the Fox universe, monster characters like aliens or
they
Predator.
have to. I'm sure they want to keep the
Planet of the Apes.
I'm sure they want to keep the licenses up.
They want to keep. Yeah, they want to keep using them, and I think it's Black Panther versus the Predator. I mean, who doesn't think that's cool? I think that's pretty cool. We also have Wolverine Revenge #1, a new Wolverine story that I hear people are pretty excited about. So we'll have copies of that on hand at Most Wanted. So come on in and check that out.
Yeah, if you. Once again, one more plug for Redcoat. If you like the Highlander, you'll like the Redcoat.
Yep, Redcoat's a great book. Most of the Ghost Machine stuff is still going pretty strong.
It is. That whole
Geiger's really good. Rook Exodus. I mean, and coming out in the fall. I mean,
that universe was stellar when it came out.
It was stellar, and it's done by some incredibly talented professionals.
I tell you what, we got to give a shout here. Matt and JD, huh? Caleb, how you doing out there? The Souser, Jimmy the Souser, shout out to you, bud. The Gossovich family. I had a great time at the celebration party with you guys. Way to celebrate with you guys. Shanice and Sheila, Brian and Brian, both Brians showed up at the event too. That was good to see. And then Scott, Lisa, who am I forgetting now? Jeff and Mark. Want to send another shout out to you guys. And then of course, as always, I'm going to say a shout out to Allison, and then the Mighty Mafu is going to join us next week.
Yep. Going to talk some toys with the Mighty Mafu.
We're going to talk some serious toys that we brought in with the Mighty Mafu. We brought in some classic toys. I just wanted to throw a blib about it now because we're previewing it, because next week you're going to see what we brought in, and Mighty Mafu is excited to talk about it.
He really is.
So, go ahead.
You mentioned we gave our shout out to Jimmy the Souser, and it reminded me of a topic that we were going to talk about. This was scheduled for, I was going to talk about this in a couple weeks, but given that there were so many foils that came out this week.
Oh, the foils, yeah.
There were a lot of foil covers that came out. I mean, there were like 4 different foils between Marvel and DC, which is a lot. Not to mention the one for Johnny Quest, which is, that's just not even the same thing. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to discuss is, are foils relevant these days in comics? Like, how relevant, how popular really are the foil covers, given how many of them there are? And one of my take on that, because the Souser and I were kind of talking about it the other day, and it reminded me, foils have been around for a long time. I mean, if it was in the 90s, dude. I mean, I hear it all the time from older collectors, people who tell me, yeah, back when the kids were all buying those crappy foil covers, I was digging through the Silver Age boxes. Well, so they've been around. The foils have been popular from McFarlane Spider-Man on up. And nowadays, we have a facsimile every week with a foil cover. There's foils all the time. Every number one in some way gets a foil cover. Now, I am a foil cover fan. Foil covers are sick, okay? And they can be really cool, but they can also not be very cool. And one of the things that I think you see over time, and you see this in sports cards too, like shiny cards used to be really, really popular. Everybody wanted the shiny stuff. Ooh, it's a shiny card. It's got to be valuable. Not anymore. Especially in cards, just because it's foil, foil cards can be like 50 cents, okay? Comic books, there's a lot. Some with foil covers will hold their value, just mostly because of the art more than anything, if it's a cool looking foil. But there's a lot of them that can still end up in the dollar bin. So what I'm really concerned about is foil covers just completely losing their luster, just out of oversaturation because of how many there are. Foil covers are cool, they're needed, and they can be really fun and collectible, but when you get 3 or 4 of them in a week, they just kind of get another foil, and I don't want that, man. I want foils to be cool when they come out. I want them to pop on the shelf. I want people to look at the foil and be like, a new foil, that's awesome. Well, I don't really think, there are a couple that'll do it, but I think by and large there's just too many foils right now, and I think we do need to calm down on the foils a little bit.
Foil fatigue by Tommy Dennison.
Foil fatigue. And again, I love foil covers. Every week I love the foils, but when we're giving facsimiles to, every book that has any
like
sort of
minor keys. You don't need to do that for minor keys.
Like
okay?
they're releasing each issue of Marvel's Secret Wars in a facsimile.
This is the issue where Captain America threw up. Let's throw a foil on that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the issue where Thor took a dump in a bathroom. Yeah, let's give that a foil.
Foil.
And, every issue of Secret Wars is getting a facsimile. And a foil. Do we really need that? Every issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths, not exactly a hard set to put together, by the way, is getting facsimiled and a foil. Do we really need that? No, we really don't. Dazzler, X-Men 130, got a foil and you know, in a facsimile. And while it's a cool book, did we really need a facsimile of that comic book? No. Ultimate Fallout 4, a very modern book. It's expensive, but it's not exactly hard to read. There have been so many reprints of that.
But as Miles Morales, let's give him a foil.
Let's give him a foil. Yeah, that doesn't need a foil.
They kind of did when it was kind of a foil when it first came out anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't. We don't need a foil for that. And really, this is sort of a facsimile problem. Like, there are just too many facsimiles. And I don't think they need a foil. I don't think there needs to be facsimiles for as many books as they're putting out. I think the facsimiles have gotten out of hand. But also, I mean, we're giving any number one and their mother a foil these days, you know.
And they just gave the Innuendo Archie a number.
I think they gave that one a foil too.
We get the Innuendo.
What do we need a foil on that one for? Look, in Elseworlds, DC, you know, Vampires. That got a foil, and it's a cool foil, but it's an Elseworlds title. What do we need a foil for? But look, I love foils. Foils are needed. They have a place, and there have been some really cool foils. But like, can we just dial it back a little bit? Let's keep the collectability of foils. Let's keep the interest behind foils. Let's not put so many out there that people stop caring. Which I don't know if we've really reached that point yet. I know plenty of people, including Jimmy the Souser, who absolutely love foils. But I am sort of afraid that we will get to that point, and I don't want foils to lose their luster because they are really cool. No,
there's a place for foil and remembering iconic issues, like putting a foil together for Brave and Bold with the first Justice League. You know, there you go.
Yeah, I think that's
worthy of a foil. You know, when you have big keys,
right?
Celebrate those with a foil. That's cool. But like we said, don't do it when Thor takes a dump. He dropped the hammer. So what? You know what?
What?
Yeah. We don't need a facsimile of it.
We don't need a facsimile of that.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Flash number 8, right? A random Flash issue gets a foil. Why? Now, I love the Flash. It's cool, a great cover. Foil. But why does a random cover for a random issue need a foil? You know what I mean?
Well, comment and let us know what you think.
Comment, let us know.
Is there too many foils, or what would you like? What would you like?
Do you think we need more foils?
Yeah, do you think there's not enough foils? Let us know. Either way, don't foil our operation on this.
Enough. Okay.
Foil.
Too many puns now. Let's move on.
Okay. So anyway, make sure you smash the like button if you like this. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you let us know what you think and give us your opinion on the foils, and we'll talk about it next week and let you know what you thought, what the overall consensus was. Was there too many foils or not enough? Or if you're sick of it, you know, just let us know in the comment section. And with that, you know what? We're excited for next week. You guys have a great week out there, and we will see you next time.